Stash 720 is a fast investing stock market game where you use power cards to make smart investments and stop your opponents making theirs. It's got all the excitement of blackjack. I know I spent a lot of time when I was younger playing blackjack in the common room or at school, and I think Stash 720 surpasses that, or at least the feeling of playing blackjack anyway. This is a game of risk and reward. You get to understand financial terms. It lasts around 15 minutes each game, and it helps broaden your knowledge of the stock market. I want everyone around me to be financially literate and to be an investor and not just a consumer. And I think this game helps with that. I'd love you to check it out, stash720.com. So first of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Okay, so my name's Shari Leigh. I am a founder of an organisation called Black Business Network. And Black Business Network is all about kind of providing support resources and events, bringing the community together, and helping Black entrepreneurs throughout their kind of entrepreneurial journey. So that's a bit about what we do.
Fantastic. Yeah. So how did you get into that industry? What was the road to kind of get you there?
So I would say there's like two specific things that really kind of led to where we are now. And mostly it was, first around 2016 actually. And I was working in financial institutions in banking, doing the corporate events. And that was around the time of like Trayvon Martin and the first kind of wave of Black Lives Matter. And I just remember just feeling like super frustrated about the situation and what was going on. And I used to get together with a group of friends and we used to like go to the library and sit down and like brainstorm about what we could do to make a difference. And that's where we really kind of all agreed that business was like such a key aspect for kind of growth of the Black community and try to leverage what we had. So it kind of started there, but nothing really happened. Nothing came of it. As you know, people do disperse, people kind of lose interest, go off and do their own thing. And then 2018 really was a massive driver for me because I lost my gran and that was like a crazy thank you. But yeah, now it's like, you know, it was in stride. It helped me kind of realize that I really wanted to start creating a legacy and stop living in fear.
Yep.
And that's when I kind of, decided I'm going to go ahead and just do what I know, which was events and start off there. And the Black Business Network was kind of formed that year and we started building.
Wicked. There's kind of like two arms is there to it. There's events and there's the networking?
Exactly. So because events was like my background, that's where I really started. So I was like, okay, start with what you know. And it started as an events company and we started planning. We had our first conference in 2019, which is called Black Investor 360. So it's a big kind of finance conference and went really, really well. But then obviously it was like at the end of 2019 we held that and then coming into 2020 having a few more events and then bang.
Boom.
Yeah, like COVID hit just like that. But you know, it actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise because we had to pivot. So we had to think about what we was going to do. We were able to move some of our events online, but more so because of the second wave now of Black Lives Matter and the massive impact that had. People were now kind of interested in what we were doing and it opened up opportunities for us to go ahead and do other aspects we've been thinking about. So moving into research and insights to really kind of look at what was happening with the Black business community and just thinking about how we're going to develop. And that's how we started kind of getting into more support resources and kind of trying to actually build a network of kind of people being able to learn from each other.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good. That sounds great. So let's kind of switch a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. How did you grow up? What's your background? Where's your Black family from?
Oh man, so I guess I'm like that stereotypical kind of Black British in the sense. So I'm first gen Jamaican.
Okay.
Raised by my single mum in South London.
Okay.
So very, very typical. One older sister, a couple half siblings as well.
Yeah.
And just kind of grew up in that life, you know, having to kind of work hard, fight, strive. I had, like I said, my gran and my granddad who were very dedicated to supporting me and my sister and our growth and stuff like that, and spent a lot of time with them. And I think that gave us like a different level of work ethic. And the goal was always to be like super professional. So that's what we were working towards, and ended up kind of, like I said, going down that financial institutions route in my career and working in Canary Wharf, and for my grand that was like the height of success.
Of course, it?
But I knew something was always itching, because that life was corporate life can feel so like a trap sometimes, and I was really suffering with like this imposter syndrome, trying to be who I felt was my authentic self, and be in that environment and still give 100%. I kind of grew up like that. Like it's the typical kind of South London story, really. But kind of transitioned from there and realized that I wanted to kind of break free and leave a different type of legacy for myself, as opposed to just working in those environments.
So do you ever feel like a little bit ungrateful? I think I'm speaking for myself when I say that. It's just that I work in Canary Wharf, and for some people, it's probably their dream job.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I can't wait to leave. I can't wait to do the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, and it kind of makes me feel a little bit ungrateful. But I think what is for you, and it's just not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that I've got that job. I'm happy with the money. I'm happy with the people I work with. But it just doesn't suit me, and it hasn't suited me for a while. And I've just got to find a way to get out, because it is a trap.
Yeah. And this is the thing, like, don't get me wrong, because I agree with you.
It's a nice trap.
It's a nice trap, it's comfortable. And this is the thing I always think about our community, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone has a role to play, and in a different way. And your role might absolutely be within those corporate, sphere, like working in those companies, 100%. Building, pushing, like, it's amazing to see people progressing through a professional way as well. To see more diversity in those companies, and like helping to change things from within those systems as well. So I think they absolutely have a massive role to play, but it's not for all of us. We've all got different purposes, right? And I think if you find your purpose and it's outside of that sphere, then don't be scared to kind of go for it and push towards that. And it doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It just means that's not for you, I think. And there will be, for those people that it is for them, they'll come their time, they'll get there, they'll achieve what they want to. And you make what you want of it. And, for a long time, I thought that was my goal, right? And I got into it, and for me, the experience was completely different, from what I expected. I went in there expecting high level professionalism. I ended up with a bunch of East London white boys talking to me. And I was kind of like, but this is not what I was expecting. In one of my companies, I dealt with a lot of racism as well.
Really?
Yeah, and that was difficult for me. And that's when I really realised, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Right. And it doesn't mean that it's not for anybody else. But for me, it was when I realised, that's not the role I want to play in this story. I want to play a different role. One that's more rooted in the community, one that makes me feel more authentic to what I'm doing.
What was it like for during the time when you said there was a racism?
Yeah.
What type of racism? Because the thing is, when we say racism, because it's such a harsh word, it seems harsh. Sometimes we might think of one thing and something else might be happening.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what the racism was like.
Yeah, so for me, it was a lot of just ignorance, right? So I was working in a corporate events team in a really popular financial institution, and the whole team was all white males, basically. There was one other white female who worked with me on my team in the operations part, and then everybody else was white men on the team. And because of that, we worked in commodities, so we'd be kind of dealing with people from different countries. We'd be traveling a lot, and I remember it started with the small things. So someone who happened to be a Nigerian client would come up, and my manager would be like, "Oh, make sure you double check those credit card details and things like that." Those little snide comments. And then for me, it was I remember one of my first trips away with the whole team. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm traveling the world now. We'd gone to Dubai for an event. I'm thinking, yeah, this is it. And after the event ran successfully, everything, you go and sit down with everyone in the bar. And then my manager turns to me and he goes, do you know what? I've got some Chinese friends and they just don't like black people. They think black people have contributed nothing to the world. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow.
That's brazen, though, to say something
you
like
would
that.
think
to
so.
share it with me as well. So did he not think that was out of place?
No, do you know why? Because all the rest of them now chimed in. So that's the thing. So I'm thinking, okay, wow, that's a shocking thing to say. But because it's a team of all white men now, they just feel like comfortable, right? And I'm the only woman. And we're away. And literally, they just, and all of them start piling on. Like, yeah, I've never understood that. And one of them's going to me, oh, I never understand how black people don't still speak proper English. Like, you've been here long enough now. And I'm just like, gobsmacked, right? And I'm trying to kind of find justification, I'm like defending myself, and I'm thinking, why am I doing this?
I don't think you can at that point.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, the first thing I thought about, when I thought that, I'd be like, I'll be outraged. But then I thought, I can't explain this to you. I can't have this. The fact that you're saying things like that is the fact that you have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no clue. You're obviously not very intelligent, and I can't represent the whole of my race just because you're stupid.
Yeah, and you know what really killed me was that I didn't know enough. And that was when I realised that I didn't know enough of my own black history.
That's
to be like,
as well.
When they started saying to me things like, what have we've never done anything, we've never created anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't even think to my mind like, oh, who are the black inventors and all that. So after that, which exactly. So now I know there's like loads. I went and educated myself, learned all about that. But before that, because my goal had only been like working within their sphere, I never even thought that I needed to learn these types of things to a certain extent.
But don't you find it's like, I don't think they're like so short-sighted? Because at the end of the day, if history goes to prove anything that they've done, slavery is obviously a massive thing.
Yeah.
They've obviously put us back.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
And that's what I was trying to say.
So how could you then say like, oh, you haven't done nothing, but for hundreds of years you like had your foot on the neck?
Literally, and that's what I was saying to him. Like I was like, well, you know that people weren't even allowed to learn how to read and write and stuff like that, and these were people that had to learn English really quickly because their languages were taken away from them. They'd be punished and killed for these kind of things. He's like, yeah, but it's been long enough now. Literally, that's the response that I was getting.
Mad.
And like, I'm looking to the only girl that's with me, like the white girl who I happen to be quite good friends with. And she's just looking at me, and then the next day we sat down, I'm just like, that was so uncomfortable. And she was like, really? Did you think so? I was like, what? What is going on here? So I realised like the mindset, particularly in that team, because I'm not saying obviously that's every single person. You're not going to come across that level of ignorance all the time.
No, of course.
But
it's still there, and for them to be able to feel that they can say that
comfortable.
They're probably not the only ones. That's the issue. When a group of people are able to say stuff like that, they generally aren't the only ones that think like that.
Yeah.
But I believe that stuff like that kind of make you the person that you are.
Yeah.
Going through that, and help you push forward into into the area of field that you're kind of into now. So it's all good.
Yeah.
So okay, on that, do you have any what are the key moments that made you become the person that you are today?
Well, definitely. I think obviously things like that was a heavy time for me, I think, because it was getting to a point where I thought I'd achieved something that I'd always been working for, and then realising that this is the complete opposite and it's making me super unhappy. So that was like the first kind of changing moment, obviously, and then Black Lives Matter, and being in that environment during Black Lives Matter as well. That was all like a massive changing thing. And then, when I lost my gran, honestly, that was like life-changing for me. Yeah, so again, because like I said, I had single mum, so she was always working, so a lot of, I guess, that kind of motherly bond and that time was spent with my gran. So she was someone that was just super integral to who I am as a person, taught me everything, all those things. Just spent so much time with her, very similar, share birthdays are pretty much like almost the same day. So we were really kind of like similar. So losing her was like life-changing. It's so weird, I think, sometimes, like, I'd experienced loss in my life before. So I'd lost, other family members and like great-grandparents and grandparents, not grandparents, but great-grandparents. I had lost grandparents as well, actually, but losing my gran was just so different to me. It felt like a bond had been severed, like that motherly bond. And that it was kind of seeing how everyone came together for her, how loved she was, how much she'd been able to achieve in her lifespan as this woman who had, come from Jamaica by herself. She'd left her 3 kids in Jamaica, worked hard, sent for all her kids, built up her life, built up some savings, given us the life we had now, right? And seeing that she was able to create that, and all these people had come out, and how much love they had for her as well, it pushed me to kind of be like, what are you waiting for? Why are you sitting on your hands and not, following things that really want out of life, trying to make that life that you want for yourself? And I think that was like the second big change. And then, obviously I've been lucky to have like great friendships in my life as well that have stayed with me for like 20 plus years and stuff like that throughout my life. So seeing children come into the situation, see my nephew when he arrived, all these things were like massive imprints on me, made me think of the world in such a much bigger place and stuff like that. And I think then I started thinking about my mentality, thinking, about my mental health and meditating and really trying to understand what I felt was my purpose. And from there, really everything kind of started to shift once I understood what I felt my purpose was.
That's great. I think it sounds like your grandmother was like an inspiration to you.
Oh man, massively.
And I think anyone, that can come from another country, come here and start a thing from nothing.
Right.
Yeah, you got to like say,
she was a real G, man, real G, like.
Yeah, I like that. It's good. And I think to myself as well, like my mother was a big inspiration for me. My mum had 6 kids and a degree. Single
there
parent.
you go. Like,
and then when I saw my mum do that, cooking, cleaning, doing all this, raising kids, and getting a degree, I said, I must can go to school and do something.
Yeah.
I must.
Yeah.
Like if she's doing that, I must be able to do that. So I think it's good having like strong parents or grandparents as like a role model is great.
Yeah, absolutely, isn't it? And there's that thing of like, they do well, so you want to do better, right? They're doing it so that you can set you up, and the whole mission here is to come and do better than they've even done. So yeah.
Has there ever been times that you kind of wanted to quit, that you wanted to say, "Oh, this is it, I'm done"?
Literally, since I've been an entrepreneur, that's like every other week, man. Honestly, that is one of the main, I think, lessons of just coming into this journey and trying to do something for yourself. Like there are so many ups and downs, moments where you're going to be broker than you've ever been in your whole life, moments when you're going to be up and super happy, moments when everything's just going to feel on top. And I think, all those times you think about, wow, why am I doing this? I'm quitting. But it's knowing that really what builds people is consistency, right? So you can have a great idea, you can have a great vision, but you've got to be able to stay consistent to it, especially through those hard times, and keep working at it even when it is tough. Obviously know when to pivot, when to change, and like look at the circumstances, but definitely like you have to kind of stay on that path, stay consistent if you want to see any kind of level of success. So yeah, thinking about quitting is sometimes almost daily when the team's getting like on top.
This is long.
It feels so long. You think, why are you doing it? But that's it. You just have to remember that purpose that you have, why you're doing it in the first place. And just, that nothing ever comes without like hard work and consistency, really.
100%. So, what was your dream as a kid then? Because you said you kind of changed. You went in finance. What did that look like when you were a kid? And when did the change say, well, I'm going to go this way?
Oh man, I mean, to be honest, I was never going to be, I didn't even think about finance really. It wasn't, as a kid, like I wanted to be like Whoopi Goldberg from Sister Act. That's literally, that was it. I used to tell people I was going to be a nun, and everyone, my uncles would be like, but, not really thinking about it. So honestly, being in that finance route was just something that happened. Events really was my kind of first love. When I was in uni, I was studying different things, and I got the opportunity to go and do a bit of work experience, and I've done some work experience.
Events.
Was
that kind of your first job, or did you do?
So I mean, I was working from young, 15, started in Sainsbury's through college and all that kind of stuff. Worked in John Lewis and the partnership, which is a good retail job, people. A good retail job.
You tell them.
Honestly. So I done that through uni and stuff like that. But in uni is where my brother-in-law, who happens to like work on different tours and stuff like that, and he got me some work experience, and I worked at the Mobos. And that was just so exciting for me, like helping on the carpet, seeing all the celebrities, seeing how the event ran, and did a few more events. And I was like, no, came out of uni, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do events. And I went into kind of like membership bodies. So when I graduated, couldn't get a job at first, because I didn't have experience. And I was like, oh, this sucks. So was working admin, frustrated, and then I decided, do you know what? Again, if I want to make this work, I'm going to have to commit to it. Yeah. So I actually quit my job and started volunteering full time at different charities.
You tell them that. Yeah. Like, listen, there's so much people out there that are not willing to do stuff like that, you know, and that's the thing that got me really where I was really. I had to do stuff for free. Yeah. That's how it goes. Or at a crazy discounted price. Yeah.
Just you've got to build your CV, you've got to build your experience. Because literally I was applying for these events jobs and I didn't have no real events. I'd been on a couple of events and worked on them, but I didn't have no real experience in the field. So yeah, I had to quit my admin job and I went and like worked for free for about a year until I landed my first like full-time job in events. And even then I started as like events admin, and worked my way right up until I got to like manager, and I could be in those institutions. It was only really by chance that I ended up in finance and started to see what that industry was like.
Interesting. So what was your last job, and what was the jump where you said, oh, I'm going to jump from this to that?
So I guess when my gran died, I was still doing corporate events, and I was working again at a different finance company at the time and doing their events, and it was great. You know, they were global, but I was like, oh my God, I was working crazy hours. Event life is like long ass hours, like it's crazy. And for me, that's when I was like, I can't do both things at once, right? After my gran passed, I was like, I can't do both things at once. So I was like, all right, I'll start slowly scaling back and doing like contract roles. So I started getting a couple of different contract roles, still within the finance sector, but different like smaller companies. I was working at like finance membership bodies and things like that. And that was slowly giving me more time, more flexibility in my schedule, to be able to start building what I was building. And yeah, I think my last role actually was it's almost like the dream job I'd been waiting for in events. My last role, because then I kind of transitioned out of finance, got this job, kind of doing these really fabulous like events that were in the travel industry as well. So I mean, I'd been used to traveling, but this was like traveling in a different level, because it was now I was doing events for like the top hotels. Right. So I was going to go stay at like all the big hotels. I was going, you know, I had like proper $1 million budgets for these events as well now. And I was like, so I was going to get to do so much creative stuff and build it. And I realized actually, this is not making me happy anymore. So I'm like, I've got to what should really is like the peak of what I wanted in my events career, and realized it's still not satisfying me in the same way, because really, let me go over to my little humble company and build that. That makes me a lot happier working for myself, being able to manage my time. And I think obviously, like a lot of people throughout the pandemic too, that really kind of helped me understand that I don't want to be in an office environment. I don't want to be kind of tied to that. I want to, just be able to kind of focus on what my passion is and my purpose is now, which is building for the community. And you know, and events fits into that in a way as well of what I do. But it's more so about the work I'm doing in the community.
So, so was there a period where you say, I quit this and I'm just going to go full-time this? You're full-time now? Is that
so I'm full-time now.
How did that work? What was that journey like, the small part?
Oh man, well, it was just understanding, like, I feel so drained by like having to try and get up every morning.
Did you quit? Were you like, I'm done this? And
I planned, so I did save, like, so I was like, all right, obviously I need to have some money. I got a mortgage to pay, so I had to make sure I had some money saved, and the business was doing okay, so I was able to take a little wage from that too. So I said, all right, cool, let me make sure I can, as long as I can balance out myself and I can pay my bills, then I'm okay really, you know, scaling back on everything else. And that was the massive push. But it was my mental health was suffering from being in that environment. Yeah. So it was like, really, am I going to sacrifice myself, or am I going to go wholeheartedly And I think, again, the universe was forcing me to kind of like choose it, saying to you, here's your perfect events job. You're doing it. It's going well. You know, you can do it. Everyone at the company supports you in doing it. The money is great. You're traveling the world. But then here is this other thing that you said you've been wanting for how many years now, and you've been working on it, and you say this is your purpose to be within the community.
Yeah.
So, but you can't do two things at once, because either way, something's suffering, right? You're not doing either one 100%
Right.
because you're trying to split between the two, and that in itself was affecting my mental health. Thinking like, I'm not doing my events. Yeah, exactly. I'm not doing the events 100%, and I'm not doing my company 100%.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, let me save some money, just, you know, call it a day, and focus on my health, focus on what is my passion and what I've been trying to build. And again, understanding that there's going to be ups and downs in that, but it's worth doing it. And so yeah, I just basically said to them, like, do you know what, I can't do this, it's affecting my health, and I need to take a break, and I need to leave. And they were, you know, really disappointed, because for them it was like, oh, we found someone that's got like the right experience, can do the job, and you know. But
they ain't worried about your health like that. If I'm going to be completely honest, I know they're worried about how their business looks or what have you, and someone else will do your job.
Right? Oh my God, that was one of the things my mum always said to me when I used to stress myself over these events. If I drop down there tomorrow, they will post your job.
Get someone else. Straight away they get someone else.
Straight away.
No mourning period, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, why are you killing yourself for it? So yeah, 100%.
What was your first interaction with business as a kid? What did you see? What was your first interaction with business?
So my dad actually ran a market stall in Brixton for like 20 years.
Traditional.
Proper old school, selling music. So he used to
that's where the music influence
exactly, yeah. Okay. So my dad used to sell music in Brixton Market. So that was kind of like my first interaction. So, you know, I'd go and see him on the stall and stuff like that.
So entrepreneurs in your blood then, man. It's there.
Yeah, I guess, to that extent and stuff like that. But I think my proper real taste was my uncle actually started a company that became pretty successful for him. So as a general building company, and on Saturdays, like I remember I asked him, you know, like, oh, I want a bike and stuff like that. I'd be like, oh no, come, if you want any money from me, you got to come into the office. Yeah. So I'd come into the office and I'd be like filing his invoices for him, like literally doing the bare minimum work, because I'd literally just be putting printed invoices into a folder and stuff like that all Saturday. But then he'd give me a little change for that. So I think that was really like my proper first taste of being in the business environment, and kind of understanding that things can work outside of the sphere of just, you know, being at work a little bit. Yeah.
9 to 5.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. So would you say that you kind of grew up with money or without money?
I mean, without money, like there's no question about it. Like, you know, my mum, God bless her soul, she wasn't great with money in terms of like money management, but she worked hard, and she always made sure we had. My gran was the person that was like, oh, you have to save your money, girl, you have to put your money away. So she would always like, you know, she taught me just how to save. She didn't necessarily know all the ins and outs of like how to make your money grow and develop and stuff. Investment and stuff like that. But she definitely was someone that was all about saving her money. And honestly, that again, when she passed, I was surprised how much money she had saved.
Oh wow!
I was like, all right, Granny, like, you done all right. Yeah, she did that thing. And I thought to myself, imagine if she had known about like things like pensions and to put our money in different trusts and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, it would have been even more than that she had to kind of leave behind to everybody and stuff like that. But I mean, she done well, and I think that's really where I kind of started again thinking about money in a wider scope other than just saving it and stuff like that. But I mean, because I didn't grow up with money, I've never been someone to want to live beyond my means, really. So I always kind of work, do my thing, save. I bought my house when I was about 27. I think I bought my flat, and that was it.
That's a good thing. Okay, that's good. So, do you plan on buying any more houses? Is that something that you look at it, or is it just I want the house that I want to live in, and I'm fine with that.
Nah, absolutely. I forget more property and stuff like that. And again, as I've kind of been venturing out, as I started to learn about money and things like that, that's when I realized, just having a house really, it's not an asset, right? Because I'm living in it, I'm paying the money
it's
out.
Kind of the minimum.
Yeah, it's the minimum. So no, absolutely, I'll be taking steps. And obviously as well, my flat at the moment, I actually end up by me and my best friend bought the flat together because we was like, we didn't want to go out and just rent. It was like, let's might as well put into. We had a bit of exactly. We had a bit of savings, so it was like, all right, let's do it. So we bought it together, and now both we have separate lives. She's got her partner and her kids. I've got my partner and stuff like that. So obviously, definitely that will always now remain an investment property as we get ready. I'm moved. She's already lives out. I still live in the property, but getting ready to move on and remortgage that and turn it into something else.
So that's good. So you did get the step. You got the first step, and I think that's what matters. You know what I mean? Regardless of it being an asset or a liability or what have you, kind of getting your first step and your foot in the door, and then realizing what it's about. I think that's the part that's important. The journey of actually getting on the ladder and figuring that out, and then you can move from there. So that's really good. Okay. So how was your education? Did you go to university?
Yeah.
Or what did you do at university? What was that?
So I actually went to a quite good secondary school because that was one thing my mum was always keen on, right? She never wanted me and my sister to go to school in the area that we lived in.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to do that either.
Exactly. I think mostly because she didn't want us to be on road with our school friends all the time.
I was not allowed to do that.
So she always sent us to school. So I actually went to school in a nice area, and came out decent. With decent GCSEs. Went to college, and then from there on to uni. I went to Middlesex Uni in the end.
So did I.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where did you go?
Do you know what? I was the last year of the White Hart Lane campus before it closed down.
That is.
Oh, see, there you go, right?
White
Hart Lane was the Tottenham campus, and this was gutter. Like I'm telling you, oh my days.
I didn't pass that. I went past White Hart Lane to get to where I went to. It was North London, obviously. Yeah. So I did.
Were you probably on Trent Park?
No, it was next to that. It was Cat Hill, and Cat Hill closed down. But Trent Park was like almost at the end of the road. It was close.
Exactly. So when White Hart Lane closed down, all our courses moved to Trent Park.
Okay.
So I was there.
Trent Park's not there no more,
Oh, they sold it.
That's done. Yeah, that's all done.
Oh, what? I didn't know that. I thought that's where they still have gone around the park up there now, isn't it? I think.
Over there, that area. But that's all flats and stuff now.
Wow. So, oh my God. See, that's making me feel a bit old, but
Okay, cool. So, did you ever get a student loan by any chance?
Yeah, I got the student loans.
Still paying it?
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? I graduated a long time ago, but I'm still paying that. And it's really interesting, and I think we should just talk about it more, I guess. We should talk about it a little bit more just so people understand what you're taking on and how long it's going to be, a part of your life. If you file for bankruptcy, it doesn't
go away.
You
it's mad, because you don't even think about it. And the way they sell it to you when you're starting out, and again, like I said, that because there wasn't really that kind of financial knowledge within my family like that. To be honest, it was the only way I was going to go to uni anyway. It was going to be the only way I was going to go to uni.
Did you move out, or did you travel
I moved out as well. So
it's more expensive.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, them times, thankfully, rent wasn't as crazy as it is now. So it was more, I was paying, I was paying like £300 a month, which was amazing because now I don't think you could do that. But so I was living out. It was really the only way I was going to be able to pay for university and stuff like that. So definitely got all the loans. But the way they sell it to you is really don't worry about it. It's the best type of loan you'll ever get.
Exactly.
You're going to need it to survive. And they just take out your wage. You won't even notice it's gone and stuff. And for a long time, that's how I looked at it. I didn't really notice. But with cost of living and all these things now, and that I'm, working for myself, now I kind of really see the impact of still having to pay this thing back. And I think, what was really the benefit for me, uni actually ended up being more of a great life experience than anything else. Not necessarily because, my degree as well is media and cultural studies, which is sociology, which I love because I love just looking at popular culture and understanding how that works. And I guess now that we do a bit of research and insights in the company, it kind of plays into it. But generally, I didn't walk out with a degree that was going to kind of help me in the long run. So I've got all this debt from that.
But I think getting a degree anyway kind of just helps you. It shows employers, even if it isn't what the field that you're going into, it shows employers that you're dedicated. You can, you can achieve something. And I think it's a medal of honor kind of thing. Not just it doesn't always have to be in the field that you're kind of going into.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely need to talk about the loan and a little bit more to us, and we just need to speak to it. As a people, we need to kind of talk about it a little bit more, so we realise what we're kind of getting ourselves into. I didn't need to take a bigger loan as I did, and I ended up spending it on silly things.
Yeah. Oh man.
And I was living at home.
Yeah. Oh, was you?
Yeah, I didn't need half of it. So do you know what I mean? But it was just like young kid. Here's some money. Oh wow! Like let me buy some Pradas. Like
it was like the first time I got a credit card. Honestly, that was when I was out at uni. And literally, it wasn't like a massive limit, but straight away I ran it up.
Yeah, of course.
And it was like,
you don't know how to use it.
Yeah, and it was like, what? Again, it was after I came out uni, and I was like, oh my god, like I've managed to like rack up debt, like, and I was like, why have I done this? Because literally, I couldn't even look around and see something really tangible that I'd spent that money on.
Yeah.
It's just lifestyle, party,
of course.
Get yourself clothes and all that really foolish things.
It's not your money. End of the day, a credit card is not your money, and you have to pay it back.
Exactly.
So only spend on it the amount that you're going to want to put back, and I think also they don't tell you about the stress. For me, I feel there's a stress if I owe money to someone or something.
Yeah.
So every month the bill's going to come in and say, well, you owe this.
Yeah.
And it's going to make me feel stressed.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not spend that. The feeling that I get for not having debt makes me feel so much better than the feeling of buying something and whatever that feeling you get from buying the thing.
Yeah.
And then having the debt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But what do you think though? Because obviously there's like, a good way to use credit, right? And if you're using it the right way, so say you are using your credit card, but then you're clearing it off monthly, you're just you're building great credit, right?
That's exactly what you should do.
That's what you should do. But I mean, obviously at the time, no one told me that. No one really, I never even understood that was a
like it's just money.
That's I pay the minimum, right? Pay the minimum. Like you're spending all the money and then you're just going to pay the minimum back. So literally, until I understood this, actually, credit can be a good thing. And I think in our community, and definitely something that I've been learning over this course of doing the research and understanding our approach to debt, right, within the community, we're fearful of it. Rightly so, right? Because we know what debt means. And obviously, a lot of times we're coming from a different socioeconomic background, one that means that you probably had to work really hard for the things that you've got. And the fear of kind of losing that to debt and racking up money that you can't pay for often puts us off of kind of going for things in terms of like business loans and trying to get money to actually fund real things that you need. But there is a way to kind of have good debt and have good credit built from that debt. But I think we need to be able to learn and understand how to use credit for one, how to use it, and what good and bad debt looks like.
100%. And I'm kind of guilty of that myself. And like you said, there are business loans that will help you, and there's money out there for you which you should use. And we shouldn't look at it as the same way as like personal debt, which is a lot of times it's not going to help you. And I think for me it comes from my parents or my mum saying, I don't want to owe anyone no money or anything like that, and I'm thinking, oh well, that's a bad thing if I owe someone money. But there's very few entrepreneurs and millionaires that have used their own money the whole time. Like how? Tell me how you're going to build a massive business by scraping pennies from the sofa. It's not going to happen.
Literally. And that's what we're doing. So it's just like, I remember when I was first kind of starting my business journey and I was reaching out to a few friends that had kind of run businesses and doing things, and I was sitting down with him and I was talking about I need to kind of get this money together to be able to do the event, and I managed to get a little bit of it and stuff, and he was just like, but hold on, what are you scared of? Like, do you know how much debt I've got right now? And I was like, what do you mean you've got debt? He's like, no, that's how it works. Like, it's running a business, and he was running a really successful business at the time. And he's like, listen, if you saw it, you'd probably like choke them thinking this is what I've got then in debt. But like, it was just the way he had his running his business and stuff like that, and it's what came with kind of running a big.
Some business you have to. Sometimes you have to. If you're buying inventory or whatever it is, something you have to. If you look at I invested in stocks, right? And one of the biggest killers for a company is actually debt.
Yeah.
So one of the things I look at when I'm looking at a company, I'll read the annual reports and look at the numbers and what have you. And if they can't pay off the debt with like a year or two worth of their cash flow, then it's probably not a good business. Maybe it depends the business and what type of things they have to buy, because a debt can kill their company. However, there's companies with hundreds of millions of dollars of debt. Do you know what I mean? So, but that's fine.
But because they've got that revenue coming in, right? Exactly.
It works great. So we just have to kind of shift our mind around, what is debt and what is good debt, what is bad debt, and how to use it to our benefit.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I would just say is because, like I said, because we've been doing the research and stuff like that, and one of the things we found is really on average we're raising about £2,000 to get our businesses started, and really £2,000 is
that's like, drink money.
Yeah, it's literally it's nothing, and that's it. We choose to stay within the community and fundraise ourselves, and I understand the reason why, because of this idea in the sphere of debt and what that means, and on a personal level. But £2,000 is not going to get you far when starting a business. And I get how we look at it, like, if I can just buy a little bit of my product here, or I don't need this much to kind of put it together, and then I'm going to sell it and I'll just get the money back. But it doesn't work like that. You need support, and these things have a knock-on effect on us in the sense that we end up being really time poor because we're trying to do everything for ourselves. We're trying to specialize in areas that we don't have the specialties in because we can't get extra staff in to help us with different things. And it all has an effect where really now we see that like the average turnover of UK Black businesses, within our sample at least, compared to the average UK turnover of businesses is like less than half. Most Black solo entrepreneurs are like turning over roughly about £20,000 a year, which really is nothing. And it's because we're starting from almost nothing to try and fund these businesses.
I think we have to think of it differently. And only literally recently, I've been thinking about that and thinking about taking on debt to fund the business and kind of what that looks like. And I think you just have to be more comfortable with it in your head. And you can't do it with pennies. You're not able to do it with pennies. And I think you should, anyone that's thinking something, kind of 10x it, make it 10 times. Because when you do that, everything kind of becomes easier because there's more money involved and there's more momentum.
You're already thinking about how it's going to scale, how it's going to work in the long run. It's absolutely right. And like, we don't have strategy because of it. Like, we're just doing everything. But if you say, I'm going to take this amount of money, and really you've already thought about, okay, this is exactly how I'm going to use it and how I'm going to use it to grow and make that amount of money back, you're already kind of putting your business in a better position. So it makes me think of the saying that scared money don't make no money. So you can't be scared of it. You have to just say, go, let's do it. And you know what I mean? He who dares wins. You've got to go for it. And then, absolutely.
You know what I mean, Rodders?
Exactly.
That's cool. So, okay, so talk to me about your kind of partnership with Lloyds then. How that kind of worked and how that came about.
So I mean, that was one of the things that came out of 2020 really. So obviously at that time everyone was approaching us, everyone was interested in Black people, Black community, Black business, but for us, like, after a couple of different offers, we felt that Lloyds was the best one for us. They had a 3-year plan, and they wanted to execute in lots of different areas. So they were looking internally at their staffing practices, their pay gaps, as well as kind of, supplier diversity, and then the business aspect of it. So it was just the best fit for us. And, we had been wanting to kind of do this research piece to kind of really understand what was going on, because when we were being approached by people, and they were kind of going, okay, so what is the experience? How can we help? How can we fit in here? And we'd say, this is what the experience is, because obviously we know it, we live it, but we didn't have any kind of real metrics or anything like that to back it up. No evidence to kind of say, okay, 3 in 10 of us don't go to bank. We'll go to banks to get funding or something like that. We couldn't say that. So that really was the driving force. We said to Lloyds, like, look, if you're going to do anything and you want to know what the community wants, the best way is to ask them, right? And
100%.
give us the ability to really ask them, rather than you guys just going out here trying to put on programs that you really don't necessarily know if people want, what's going to benefit, help them. And yeah, that's what they kind of said. Okay, cool. You know what? You're right. And we started there from our first research. So yeah, the first one came out last year. It's called Black British in Business and Proud, and the second one's just been released. And it's kind of a follow-on, which I love. And I know like there's a lot of kind of like apprehension in our community when you talk about research, and I understand absolutely why. But it's so important for any community, right? So any community that's looking to develop and grow, you have to continually monitor it. You need to continually be looking at what's working, what's not working, where the breakdowns are happening, how you can challenge those breakdowns and keep adapting. So that's why I actually really do love the research and love kind of encouraging the community to say their experience, tell us what's happening, let's put it down on paper, let's do it. And then when, you know, these companies approach us, it's bang, like in your face, like this is what it is, this is what we've been saying, you know.
You can't get better unless you have the numbers or have it there to say, well, this is the thing that's happening, how do we change that?
Yeah, exactly. And remember, when you're dealing with these companies, for them, it's like they don't care about just your what you're saying and your experience. Like, it's just any corporate company, they want to see the numbers, they want to see what matters, and that's the only way we're really going to be able to continue to affect change.
Okay, cool. So could you tell me any key moments of like failure that you kind of went through that you were like, oh, wow, that made me feel like this, or any key moments of failure?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, just in starting it and my journey, what I've realized is very similar to a lot of entrepreneurs. Like, I came into it with just a passion and a dream, wanting to make a change in the community and going, okay, I know how events work, so I can execute that. But I didn't really have a plan for a proper growth strategy or understand how I was going to run a business. And I think that really was the first kind of failure that hit me. And then trying to get funding to get even started off the ground, I think that was something that was very humbling. I thought, like, you know, I've got a house, I've got some things, you know, I've got assets and stuff like that. And I went out there looking to get some funding and quickly was told, no, this is not enough, or this is not worth it, it's not enough collateral. And that was, it was really hard to kind of understand that those things, like, it felt like a failure to me.
Did you need that?
I think you need that all the time. Within your journey, there's things that are gonna, you know, make or break you, right? And I was happy that those things kind of came early in my journey. I remember, like, before our first conference, like, I was still trying to scrape together money to pay the full thing, right?
Yeah.
And literally, like, maybe a week before, I was like, we're not gonna be able to have this event. The venue's asking us for like a large amount of lump sum. I was like, we're not going to get this money through, like, it's over, everyone's booked their tickets, people are coming, I've got all the speakers, like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say to all these people in finance, right? Because it's a finance event. So I'm like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? You know, and thankfully we were able to, like, do some maneuvers and get the money and do what we had to do. But, oh my God, like, I was on the floor crying. Like, I literally thought that I was going to have to cancel this whole thing. And yeah, it was just going to fail before it even really got started. But thankfully, you know, like I said, I was able to maneuver and get the money, and the event went ahead, and it was great. So yeah.
Was that the major hurdle, like, you know, creating the first UK festival, Black Finance Festival? Was that the major thing, or was there other hurdles that kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest hurdle. Like, being able to achieve that event, was a highlight for me, because I knew how tough it was to get there and how many hurdles I had. And like I said, you know, didn't think it was going to happen just a week before. So yeah, like, it was a major, like, that was a massive hurdle and a massive kind of learning curve as to how I was going to approach the business and what I was going to do. So that definitely pushed, and being able to achieve that was a massive thing. But, you know, as I've gone on throughout the business as well, I've definitely learned, obviously, like 2020, because we were an events company, that's how that's how I branded it. Like, we were an events company. And
no events, basically.
It was so crazy. I remember we were having we do this Black Women in Brunch thing, and it's obviously during Women's Month in March. International Women's Day. And like that week, everyone's calling me, like suppliers are slowly going, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get down. I don't know what's happening or whatever. You know, I was like, okay, like wasn't sure if anyone, people are talking about this flu, but I didn't know what was really happening.
Yeah.
And literally like we managed to just about have that event. And that later that week, I think where I was working at the time were like, okay, you guys work from home. Yeah. And then a week after that, the whole country was in lockdown. And then I was like, oh,
it's a real thing.
Yeah, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Because now we can't put on events. And, you know, again, I've got this money I've got to pay back. I've got to do all this thing. So I was like, what am I going to do? And yeah, thankfully it was, you know, not thankfully, because obviously Black Lives Matter movement wasn't something that any of us want to see and anything like that. But it definitely piqued people's interest as to what we were doing and how we were doing it, and that presented an opportunity.
Yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to I don't know, break down to kind of build up kind of thing. Sometimes it kind of needs that. Okay, cool. So what is your schedule like generally, day to day, week to week? What is a work week like for you?
You know what? It's happy for one. That's the thing, because I'm able to kind of make it the way I like to make it. I'm a bit of a night owl. I prefer like you know, being able to sleep in a little bit and then get to work and stuff like that. But generally, I have lots of meetings. So you know, my day is get up, get myself in the right mindset first. So I like to take my time in the mornings in the sense of I like to meditate. I like to do my stretches, a little bit of yoga, you know, get myself in right, water my plants, get myself right in the mornings, and then kind of get to work and stuff like that. So I won't have a meeting until maybe about 10 o'clock, which I love. So I'll have a meeting, check in with my team, whether we're just on WhatsApp. Sometimes, you know, not every day we'll do a face-to-face meeting, check in with my team. And then, kind of, I'll start my meetings from there, work. I've got a home office, or I'll go to a co-working space, link up with other members of my team as well, kind of, you know, talk about our strategy, what we're doing, and then kind of what our projects are for the week or over the couple of months, you know, for like the research project takes us a good 6-7 months for working on that. So, just kind of touching base with what everyone's got to do, and then kind of starting to execute that. But I find my days are a lot of meetings, a lot of kind of touching base with people. And then, I tried to kind of go out into the community really. So speak to businesses, visit their spaces, see what they're doing, checking on with them.
That's cool. That must be good. That must be rewarding.
Yeah, that bit I really, really do love actually, when I get to go and see spaces. And there's so many great things that like Black entrepreneurs are doing now when you see them. And you know, like there's radio stations that are nice set up, and like the spaces, there's people who have got like co-working spaces and great environments with entrepreneurs to be in, ballet studios, like it's really nice to kind of go out there and check in with the community.
Again, isn't it?
Exactly, that's it. And then obviously there's other great people who work in the kind of sphere of Black business and promoting Black entrepreneurs, and you know, working for investments and different things like that. And you know, they'll be hosting events and networking. Like even this week I went to a great event that was run that was all about kind of bringing all these kind of key figures in our community that are working on that type of thing, and trying to say, okay, what's the next steps? How do we continue to develop from here? What do we need to do for the entrepreneurial community to keep pushing it forward? And I love being in spaces like that, learning from people that have been doing it, are doing it, you know, or like me, just still learning and working and growing and stuff like that. So I guess, that's my typical day really. But it's nice because it's my day, and every day kind of is a little bit different in how I execute it, structure it, and I still have time to do my other little things, spend time with.
Do you have time to play? Do you have to?
Absolutely, you know. I mean, I'm not really a partier or anything like that, but you know, for me, my happy space is being with my close-knit friends and spending time with them. So, you know, spend time with kids, just being able to like, have that time and some like, bonding time.
Nice. That's cool. Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about the research? I know you were saying there's a project that you're working on, so tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, man. So second year, just out. It's the second year of the Black British in Business and Proud. And really, this report is, well, firstly, it's focused on Black British entrepreneurs, which a lot of reports tend to kind of group us all into the diverse entrepreneur category, the BAME categories. So that's it. You know, even though now everyone's kind of getting the message that we don't do BAME no more, which is great.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same, and we have different challenges. So really, the first step of that project was about identifying what these particular challenges are for Black entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And this year, we've really been focused on the impact that it has on Black entrepreneurs. So really, like things like identifying that our turnover is a lot less because of these kind of things like staying within the community, understanding the breakdown in trust between us and a lot of these kind of banks and, you know, wider society, national government, and understand that. And this year we're also looking at like how we can start to impact real systemic change as well. So we've been really lucky to work with people like in the APPG, which is the All Party Parliamentary Group, you know, touching base with like people in the Labour Party and you know, trying to talk about more of the systemic challenges and how we can start to affect those things and actually work to make change. Obviously, that's not going to happen just off the back of our one report or overnight, but I think the report allows us to start gaining traction, to go in there with the right type of information, to start telling them the message that is coming overwhelmingly from our community of what change needs to look like, and being able to advocate for them really with in a way that we've got like real information.
What would you like the Black entrepreneur landscape to look like? What would you like to see?
So for me, it's because again, a lot of what we do is so rooted in the community, right? So I deal with a lot of kind of people who are in ideation, early stages, and still trying to build really. So I'd like to firstly see a really smooth pipeline for those people. So I'd like to see our ecosystem, which are all the organizations like myself that are already out there working, to start working together for us. So I do a lot to kind of try and make sure I'm connecting into all different types of network groups, all different types of people, so that we can actually create a real strong ecosystem. And really, our goal for BBN this year is actually really developing that ecosystem and making sure so the pipeline or the journey, if you like, for Black entrepreneurs is really clear and smooth, so they know where to go. So when we kind of get people in the early stages, they're like, oh, I don't really know what I should be doing next, or where I can get this information, or what should I do, or what type of funding do I need. We're really working on making sure we can do clear signposting and have great referral paths set up, so that, you know, when you come into our organization, it's like, all right, this is the start point, this is the next step, here you can go here, there you can find this, and really utilizing everybody that is kind of working in silo together. So I'd really love to see that be a smoother journey. And then obviously, ultimately, you want to see more entrepreneurs being able to kind of get the right type of funding that they need, being able to scale their businesses, get them out there, build lots of visible brands, visibility of those entrepreneurs that are working hard. And it's not to say, obviously, there are Black entrepreneurs that are already doing massively well, super successful. We want to be able to shine a light on those people so that more people coming up understand that it is possible, is something that we can do. And that, lots more money is going into those things as Black entrepreneurs are able to access those funds and build it. And then we can actually get to a place where we start seeing more, you know, proper mid-size, large Black businesses, Black-owned businesses. Yeah, like, you know, I'm in Brixton, like, and there's I always say, one of my examples is, if you go Brixton, there's one thing you get is amazing Caribbean food, right? Like, you can get amazing Caribbean food.
Yeah.
But the two biggest hotspots down there are Rum Kitchen and Turtle Bay, two non-Black owned restaurants, right? Selling Caribbean food.
Yeah.
And you've got all these great Caribbean places here. And I always think, why are you guys not as big as them? Like, why do you not have full restaurant spaces? Why are we not thinking like that? Why are you not scaling and having branches dotted all over and stuff? So really, that's what I'd love to start seeing, you know, taking more of those kind of almost the smaller businesses that we kind of take for granted a little bit. Absolutely, I want to see like us becoming like owners of brands as opposed to it just kind of like
mom and pop one stores.
Yeah, and that's it, and it doesn't have to. And I'm always this person that I think like I don't want to see no man left behind in our community. I think every business has a great place, and I know there's a lot of focus on like tech and all that kind of stuff as well, and that's amazing obviously, and there's again great money places and places that we can easily scale. But I also think those businesses, the smaller businesses in our community, also deserve a chance and can be those things,
100%.
Providing those services as
100%.
well.
Yeah, they can do.
Yeah.
They can do. We just need to see it, and we need to believe it, and then we need to, pursue it. But it definitely can happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to change tack a bit more about personal finance.
Okay.
A bit that you.
All right.
Have you thought about how you're going to make money after the age of 60? Have you thought about that at all?
Well, actually, this is one of the things that I'm learning about all the time, and I'm thankful to be able to do that through the event that we do. So when we first started our Black Investor 360, it was more so about, how can you position your business for finance? How can you position to get investment? But as we, again, developed and really realised that actually a lot of money we're taking from within the community where we just don't actually have generational wealth that also needs to go hand in hand, and we need to be able to build that. So now we call it a finance festival because we also tackle that head on too and talk about how we can kind of create generational wealth. And we had some great sessions this year that was all around estate tax planning and pensions and all those kind of things, because I lost my gran, and then my granddad actually passed 2020, and that's when we really started dealing with wills and probates, and because everything inheritance tax, all those kind of things, and that's when I started thinking about hold on, again, learning how to kind of correctly save your money and where you can put it is one thing, but also there's all these things, and I connected with a great guy. He's called David Frederick. He's a chartered accountant. He was the president of the Chartered Accountants as well for a time. But he is he's amazing. And I mean, one of the first things he was like to me was like, do you know how much Bruce Forsyth's estate is worth? And he was like, it's worth about 70 million. And then he said, do you know how much inheritance tax his family paid when he died? 0. Yeah. How? And he's like, that's basically the benefit of, having an accountant, number one, that understands things like that, estate tax, but also if we understand as a community, if you're putting your money in the right places, right, that can be protected, and you can avoid a lot of these things that we end up losing. So even if your grandparents did do really well and managed to save you some money and put some money aside, it's getting swallowed up in inheritance tax.
Not trying to give it away in the tax.
Exactly, you have to give it away. So it made me think about a lot of that kind of stuff, and that it can't just be savings in an account, right? It's got to be savings in pensions. It's got to be savings in investments. It's got to be things that can pay you out money once you stop working, right, after retirement. And thinking about those assets, thinking about, if I'm going to get properties and stuff like that, and I can get them into rental properties and I can keep getting money from that. So, it's definitely a property as well is another one that I'm really starting to learn about, and another angle that we're going to be looking at going forward a little bit more in the thing. But I'm grateful because through the event, I get to learn a lot of things that I didn't really understand as well. So estate tax planning was one thing this year. Next year, we're going to be looking on, we call it our Secure the Bag stage. So we have our Secure the Bag, we have our Mind your Business stage. So we still talk a lot about, how you can get investment into your business. We talk about good accounting practices, due diligence, all those kind of things on our Mind Your Business stage. But Secure the Bag is really about, that generational wealth and maintaining it, building wealth for yourself. So next year we're going to be talking a lot about property. So
excellent.
Always
property is a great business.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good business. Yeah, I think property is probably one of the best things I've been involved with, because once you've done, you can do small things and it can be quite good for you. You're even not doing a great deal.
Exactly.
Especially in this country. I always say this. I might have said this 1,000 times, but when I was younger, I used to look at the rich list, and the one consistency that I kept on seeing was all the millionaires and billionaires would have it would say next to their name real estate and whatever, the business or whatever.
Exactly.
But all of them said real estate.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, there's definitely something in that then, isn't there? So,
exactly.
I would applaud anyone to kind of try and get involved in it in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, that's it.
Have you ever been in serious debt at all?
Man, I guess for me, I feel like any day is serious debt, but it's that old school mentality in it, shaking that off. So, I guess you have been. I think I never felt as poor in my life as when I first bought my house.
Why though? You should feel rich. Like, I've got a house. I've got somewhere to live forever.
Do you know why? Because you go from having these savings that you got in your account, like your money for your everything, and thinking like you're cushy, right? Because you got a couple, good money in the bank or whatever, ready to buy your house. Then that goes. And then it's all the other costs, right? So like you pay all the extra things, obviously fees around your house, things that at that time I wasn't necessarily thinking about as well. I was thinking about that deposit money, but then it was like brokers, stamp duty, all those kind of things. So then that all came out, my solicitor fees. And then it was like, then I've got to put stuff in the house too. Oh yeah. So now I'm buying like all my furniture and stuff like that. So honestly, once that was done, I don't think I'd ever felt as broke as I had in my life, because I went from having all this savings to literally having barely anything, right? Just about paying my mortgage and working to pay my mortgage. So that was to me like the most serious. But also, as I develop as a business owner and I want to invest more into my company and do things, that means me always taking on like debt and then being able to pay that back as well. So a part of me, I think internally that survival mode part of me is always kind of feeling like, oh, you've got some serious debt, girl. But then also that other part of me is understanding what this is doing and how it's working and that I'm paying it. So it's not like,
So is that the most expensive thing you bought? The house? Okay, bar that. What is the most expensive thing you've ever bought?
Oh, man.
Have you ever bought anything big for yourself like that?
Not really, actually. I've never been, obviously my car, when I first got my car and stuff like that. But even then, I didn't get like a fancy car or anything. So, I think my house was probably like the biggest purchase. And I like, every so often, when I was younger especially, I like the nice things. Buy like maybe a designer bag or something like that. But I've never been a person to... again, risk my personal savings or wealth to get those things. So it's I've only got those things when I had money to buy them things. So I've never put my self in debt to get those things. Right. So really, my house is probably like the most expensive purchase where I actually really went into debt for it and stuff like that. But just bad money management, like I said, when I came out of uni, meant that I had like the debt and stuff like that. I had a credit card and...
Better now, I'm guessing it's better.
Yeah, exactly. Now we learn how to measure it, but still, there's always like that debt there because as an entrepreneur, I'm telling you, like you're gonna live broke. You're gonna live broke.
That's how it is for the beginning. Yeah. Did you grow up with pocket money at all? Did your parents give you pocket money, or did you always work for?
I mostly had to work for it really, because honestly, like I said, my mum was a single mum and she wasn't working. My mum wasn't someone that was like working an office job or anything like that. She's always been someone that's like worked like that to make it. So for me, it was like anything we got, it went straight back into the house really, and we that's how I kind of grew up and lived. And I mean, I know a lot of people nowadays, they talk about it and it's like almost a source of resentment a little bit of how if you've got to help your parents and stuff. But I think because it was just us three like that, I never looked at it like that, and I never would. I didn't really grab pocket money. And as I said, when I wanted some, my uncle told me I had to come into the office and work to get it. So I've always done that. And then straight from, as soon as I got my NI number, I was working in Sainsbury's a couple of weeks later. So I've always held a job and always kind of worked like that. So.
Yeah, you said earlier about your parents and that. Do you now pay any parents' bills, or do your parents pay any of your bills? Do you have that kind of...
No, so now literally, I mean, obviously there was times when I definitely would help out my mum and stuff like that, but not so much. Mum's retired now, thankfully, and she's all right. Mostly it is about securing her and making sure that, she's got the right type of pensions and she's all right and stuff. But thankfully I don't have to pay any bills for her. Definitely 1 or 2 times my dad did help me out along the road when I was like, after I bought my flat, and I'd got into. Oh my god, I had an ex-boyfriend that got me into some debt as well.
Nice.
With some parking tickets.
Oh,
I'm telling you, right? That's the foolishness we do. But yeah, I had that, and my dad helped me out 1 or 2 times with that. But generally, I've been quite. I always think of myself as a very independent person. It's just my nature. I've been like that from long, and I hate asking people for things. That was one of the things I had to learn actually as I was coming up, that actually you can't do everything yourself. There's going to be times you need to ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. And that's why now I love to help people in the community with like their dreams and help them, because it was something I had to learn, that there's no shame in asking for help if you need help, right? And we all do at some point.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. I was asked about private school and public school. You went to public school?
I went to public school.
Would you want them to go private? And if you were ever to have kids, would you want them to go private? How do you feel about that? And you're saying it obviously from a position of not going to. So, but from what you can see from this side, what would you prefer?
I actually do prefer public schools. I think there's some great ones out there. For me, the most important thing is the language that school speaks to your child, more so than anything. I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea of intelligence through academic achievement. And because of that, I don't necessarily feel like public school is always the best option, right? One of the things I saw recently, there was a show on BBC, and it was one where they were challenging all these different Black people from different walks of life with different perspectives to talk about their conflicts and their different perspectives. And then they challenged them. And one of the things was about education, right? And why Black kids are failing in the education system. And the school they use is actually a school that was right near me when I grew up. So they went to a school called Lillian Bailey's. And when I was growing up, this school was like the worst of the worst. It got shut down. It was so bad, right? Like no one was coming out of there. You didn't want to end up in Lillian Bailey's when I was growing up. As opposed to me now, who went to a school that had been a private school and just turned into a public school, right? And it was in Chelsea. So it was like an Chelsea private school, public school. And so that was why my mum made such an effort for us to go to somewhere like that and get that education. And it was a good education, but nothing like that I said I walked away with feeling like, do you know what? Yes, this is a superior education. Did it allow me a little bit more access to certain things? When, you say you go to school in Chelsea, absolutely, people kind of look at it a little bit different than saying you went to a school like Lillian Bailey's. But then in this show, they had revisited Lillian Bailey's now, who now has a Black headmaster. It's a technology school, so a lot of schools have been rebranded into technology schools. And the way the teachers were interacting with the kids, these kids now are coming out, they've got some of the highest grades, some of the best Ofsted reports coming out, right? And this is a school that's in a impoverished area, if you like, of South London, and is doing so amazingly well academically. And it's because of the way they have this learning, this idea that your culture doesn't have to be something that's separate or hidden away. And I think in the schools that I went to in Chelsea, it was very much an expression of anything other than like typical Britishness was seen as bad, right? Seen as, if you had used slang and all those kind of things, that's not correct English. Whereas I don't subscribe to those things now. You know what I mean? Again, I don't think it has any bearing. I think the ability to actually switch between the two different uses of language, being able to speak colloquially and then going into a corporate space, like actually is such a benefit. And this school 100%. Now is teaching kids that. And I think it's just amazing for education. So I have nothing wrong with, like, to me, public schools, and I would choose to send my kid to the right one, I think.
100%. Good. Very good answer. Well done. Okay, cool. So, would you like your partner, or does you? Okay, no. Would you like your partner to earn more than you? And do you think do you think your wage defines your role in the relationship?
Oh man, literally, oh god, hold on, I don't want to get the Kevin Samuels fans upset.
There you go.
But no, so again, I don't particularly look for someone that is earning high levels of money or is necessarily earning more than me. I think my experience of relationships is nicer because I think straight away money can create a weird dynamic sometimes in relationships. So I think it makes it, you're starting from an easier place, but more so what's important to me is really how you manage your money and how you look at it. I think a lot of times when we get into these debates about money and relationships and people are saying, oh no, I want a man with money or da 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 da, more so what the real thing is that you want that security. And for me, it is knowing that my partner is able to manage the finances of our home within our life and secure our family for the rest of our life. And that doesn't necessarily come down to what your individual income is, but more so how you look at money. Do you sit down and plan? Do you have a budget every month? Are you sticking to it? Are you putting money into different places? And are you able to kind of use that? And I think that's what makes me feel secure in a relationship. So while I wouldn't, yes, it's nice when your partner earns a little bit more than you and you can relax. And especially, if you're taking time off to have a child and things like that, which are things you absolutely have to consider as a woman, especially in a relationship. You have to make sure that you can be financially secure. Can his wage support both of you if you don't have enough savings, right? Can you also, is he the type of person that is going to hold money over you and all those kind of things? Things like that absolutely come into play when I'm talking about money and relationships, you know. So, I don't think it's the be all and end all for them to earn more than you, but obviously it allows for a bit more of a comfortable lifestyle, coming together, your wages coming together, allows for an even more comfortable lifestyle. And really the most important thing is how he manages money.
Yeah, so kind of my next kind of question was like, is it important for your romantic partner to think like you or similar to you around finance? And I guess you're saying,
no, absolutely. I think that's the most thing. Like I said, I had an ex back in the day that put me in debt, right? And absolutely walked away and left me in that debt, right? And that was a hard lesson. And I think there's more women than we know that are in that position than really these ones that are supposedly getting Birkins and want everything in the world. I know more men sleeping on their girls' couches than I do know the other way around. So I think it's important for women to start thinking about actually, what is his attitude to money? Not just is he ambitious, but how does he manage money once he gets it?
Yeah, for sure. So do you ever buy gifts for your partners? Are you ever a person to do that?
Yeah,
is it splurgy person, or you just when you see something, or like what?
I mean, again, because we're both people that are not really like necessarily into like splurging like that anyway. Like, our love languages are like acts of service, quality time, those types of things. So we all more so spend money on going away for a weekend or spending some time, and we don't even necessarily go away like internationally. We'll go have a nice staycation.
That's lovely.
And like we enjoy it that way. So I would get him things, and because he never makes it a question, I'm happy to get him something and show him that I appreciate him, because he's definitely worth appreciating. That's nice.
That's cool. Okay, so do you have a monthly budget, or do you kind of just spend what you have, or is there
No, I have to have a budget. I have to have a budget. Like I said, since I've stopped working in a corporate way, right, my money is a lot different now as an entrepreneur. So I definitely have a more limited monthly income than I did before. So absolutely, I think I haven't always thought that way, because I had a much more expendable income as but I think I've always just make sure, okay, bills have to get paid, that has to get in the monthly budget, mortgage has to get paid, and then like I tried to divvy it up. My first thing was being able to put some money aside for my dream, put some money aside for the long term, and then put some money aside to invest in myself in whatever way I saw that. So whether it was in learning, education, or it was investing in myself in actually, doing something that was going to rejuvenate my spirit or something like that, I made sure I had money for those things within it. But so I tried to kind of think on my budget that way, really. The pot for the bills, the pot for just kind of, I guess, day-to-day living, and then those three things I tried to kind of include into it: savings, investing in yourself, and then investing in my dream.
Cool. That's good. So yeah, you have a good budget. You know, you're around it. You should do. I expect these kind of answers from you, so that's good.
I've had some time to learn a few little things,
Yeah.
but like there's always more.
For sure. So do you? I know you said you kind of don't splurge and what have you, but do you prefer brand goods or generic goods or like brand names, clothes and food and stuff like that?
Listen, this is one of the things me and my partner always have an argument about actually, because I will happily shop in Lidl, right?
Okay.
I think Lidl is fine. I'm someone, and I live in Brixton, so I'm going to the market, I'm going to Lidl, I'm picking up little bits from everywhere.
There, so yeah, of course.
My partner loves Sainsbury's, right? And he's always like, oh, it's just convenient, I can go there and get everything in one.
Like me.
I think this is men. Men don't like to go around shopping, go different places.
I want to get everything from one place and done.
No, we have this argument all the time because I'm like, listen, if they've got one thing here, we're gonna go over there and we're gonna get it cheaper or whatever. But he just likes to go Sainsbury's and done, and he spent. To me, Sainsbury's is, oh my god. Do you know what? We even saw it. The comparison basket. Sainsbury's is more expensive than Marks and Spencer's.
That's interesting.
It's more expensive than Marks and Spencer's by basket, right? Which is crazy, right? Because you wouldn't think it because of the way Sainsbury's kind of brand themselves as an everyday store. Yeah. But Sainsbury's is super expensive.
It's
like
expensive.
You go in there easy. Like he always says, literally, he goes into Sainsbury's for one or two things, and it's easily £30 you spend.
Yeah, it's
right?
expensive.
So for me, it's like that's always our little back and forth. But yeah, I'm happy to like go to Lidl and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I like the odd treat. You know, I've got a few designer handbags, as I said. But those things come when I've got the money for those things, and you know, it's set aside or I've saved for it or whatever, and then I'll treat myself to those things. Clothing and fashion, all those things has always been more so about my personal expression rather than the name or the brand. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm more looking at like, is that a piece that I like? I see the value in certain things, but I'm never going to just buy something because it's popular. I'm going to buy it more so because I feel like it's an expression of myself. So yeah, I like quality things, and but yeah, I can also listen, Primark, everything. I shop everywhere. So
okay, that's cool. So do you ever do you use credit cards, or do you pay for things in cash, or do you actually have a credit card?
Yeah, so I do have a credit card, but it's a very small balance on it because I kind of use it to pay for things, and I try to just clear it off and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. There are times a few little bits gets left on the credit card or whatever, but generally I'm clearing it more so. So I kind of use that, and then just other than that, I'm on debit card. So I only have one credit card.
Okay, that's cool. You like to meditate, which is great, and I try to meditate whenever I can. Do you stay fit in any way? Or do you feel that those type of things, meditating and stretching and what have you, do you feel that benefits your work life?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, like, I did have my gym time. Well, I have to say I fell off when COVID really hit in and everything closed down. That's when I fell off. But yeah, I found that mostly for me, yoga is it's a great mental kind of break for me. So I'm happy to kind of do that and do those stretches and be at home and be in my space and kind of execute those things without getting to classes. But I still also do think it's a good investment if you want to do it. Like my partner, he has a trainer and it's not a trainer within the gym. They go out to like the park and they do all these different types of things. And he does that weekly. And it's a great investment as well because your health is equally important, and you know we want to have a long, happy life.
100%.
So yeah, investing in your health is important too.
Okay. So have you ever used a buy now and pay later service, like you know, I'm talking about like
Klarna. Do you know what? I used it the first time, actually just a couple of months ago. That was the first time I used this Klarna thing, and it was all right. I also wanted the experience of seeing like what is the hype around this, and I quickly saw this is how people are getting themselves into debt, because I'm telling you, especially if you're someone that does love fashion and stuff like that, it doesn't have to be expensive fashions. We see it now. There's so much fast fashion. The clothing is cheap and stuff like that, and you know. You can quickly just throw everything in your basket. And the way I shop online is like, I will go through everything I like, I select, I'll put into the basket. And then afterwards I go to my basket and then I'll kick things out. But if I didn't have the right type of mindset, that's easily just going to go straight into a Klarna thing. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll just pay it back in bits or pay it back later or whatever. So I think it's a trap, to be honest. So I've tried it this once just to see what the hype was about, see how it works. I guess it can be useful if you're, but I don't know. I never really feel like, the idea of really being stuck for something to wear or needing to get something like really quickly on when you're talking about clothing, I think, man, weigh it up against really your credit, weigh it up against the long run. Like, is it really do you really, really need it? Yeah, and if you don't, I guess that's the problem. That's how you can easily quickly get yourself into trouble. So personally, I won't be using it again. And I think it is a bit of a trap, to be honest.
But with this fast fashion, and I believe that people sometimes pay for this stuff to make themselves feel better. Do you know what I mean? And when you're in a position that you might not be having the treats that you want, you kind of go for something like that just to buy a pair of clothes or whatever to make yourself feel better. And I understand that.
Yeah.
However, I said this before, the only real time that I could imagine buy now, pay later would work is number one, you're going to pay it off as soon as possible, like straight away, without occurring any charges or what have you. And say, for instance, that you wanted to buy something that was quite expensive, and it was £1,000 jacket, and you didn't know the size.
Yeah.
Then
that's it, and then try it on.
That's £3,000.
Yeah.
I prefer that they pay the £3,000 and then the £3,000 come out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Right? And then you try it on. Yeah. Then you give the one back, and then you pay it off. Yeah. And then that's done.
Yeah. You know that's actually good concept. I think because I don't buy like that, and that's why. Yeah. But I didn't think about it like that. But it's a good idea.
But most of the people that are going to use it are not going to do that. Yeah. That's the only issue. Yeah. But there's some good in it. I just get people's opinion on it because there is some good in it. And I think even in America, it's seen that Black community have kind of done that layaway thing, and it's kind of a instant gratification. Yeah. And it's like, it's not good.
It is, isn't it? It's what you're spending your money on. I think, it's a difficult one in our community because, unfortunately, I think because we have been so stripped of so many different things within our community.
You want it now.
Yeah, like it is a lot of our self-esteem and self-worth are tied to these types of things.
Yes.
And it is only with kind of like growth and time that you really learn that it's not. I mean, I think the other day on TikTok, I saw a video of a girl that went viral because she was saying if you don't spend £1,500 on, personal beauty maintenance every month, then like, what are you doing? You're a tramp. And it's like, I mean, I saw a lot of girls who came out and was like, no, you sound stupid. Like, how are you living? Yeah. But I think that mentality, what it made me think is, actually, it's really, really sad that she feels that she has to have those types of things in order to feel validated and to feel beautiful and appreciated. And I think it is very indicative of a lot of the mentality that still exists within our community.
For sure.
But it was also really nice to see how many people came out and said, no, that's not the case. It doesn't have to be that way as well. Because I think that shows a different level of growth and shows that we're moving away from that idea as well.
Excellent. Okay, well, that is actually all the questions
I
have for you.
Oh man, that was good.
It's been excellent. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I just one of the many reasons why I did this podcast is to kind of reach out to people like yourself, doing something great, to kind of connect and kind of help you in any way that I can kind of help, and vice versa, and kind of just help build that community. I just hope you all the best. I hope the research goes really well. I know that's coming out soon.
Yeah, so that's the 28th of September. It's out. And I encourage people to read it because it's good to understand what's going on in our community, especially in our Black business community. So definitely encourage you to read it and think about how we can continue to challenge ourselves and grow. So
For sure. And I hope that I can maybe be at one of your events and we can, continue to kind of work together to,
Yeah, you will. I mean, obviously now I wanted you to speak from before as well. From way back. So definitely have to get you at our fans. And this game, oh my God, people we need this game. So I'm gonna, as soon as it's out on market, obviously we're gonna be talking about it. We're gonna have that interview you to talk us through the game. Sure. But I definitely think we're gonna need this game at our event. If we're talking about finance, then we need it. So absolutely.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure.